The fact that we have to make these distinctions in 2022, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, no, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are? The pleasure, as always, to be joined by the head basketball coach of the University of Miami basketball team, the great one himself, Mr. Jim Larinaga. Will you be using any of the video from the NBA All-Star game in any of your defensive classroom sessions? And does that even represent token pressure from the old days in the parks?
We're trying to get our guys to defend like the guys who guarded Steph Curry.
Well, they were shooting from the Coke machine, literally. I mean, there actually was a Coke machine at the midcourt stripe.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Good morning. Not Vietnam. And yes, I know that reference. I know Defo. Leslie Visser's favorite game is the Defo. Do you remember when he throws things at me that I should remember from the 1950s? When I don't even know if he was alive in the 1950s, let alone I definitely wasn't alive. And it's definitely not a reference point that really resounds with me at all. So Leslie loves when people like, you remember Jaime Manouche? And it's like, no, Defo, I don't remember Jaime Manouche. I think that's one of the greatest sports names ever. I don't know him, but I do know that reference. Good morning, Vietnam. This is not, well, maybe Vietnam. Hopefully you're listening, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. We appreciate it here, the Defo Show. No Defo. He is in Atlantic City. I have not gotten a report. I did get various texts from him, so he was able to communicate. So he must not have been flat broke. So that's a win. He took in all the action, and there was a lot of action yesterday. You had a number 2 seed go down, St. Peter's, and on Mike Mayo's lunchbox, something Defo does every day, and I'll fill in whenever Defo's not there. You can check it locally on WWNN, also on the Odyssey app. Mayo went down all the games using what he does here. He picks games a lot of the times via who has the better food. He's the Gambling Gourmet. He'll join me at 8:35. And he talks all things food and sports. He was a sports writer. He was a news writer and then a food critic. And now he runs Let's Eat South Florida, one of the bigger, I know it's one of the bigger groups on Facebook, but it's a pretty big group, over 75,000 members on Facebook. Let's Eat South Florida. Mike Mayo's the man behind it. So he comes on every week and talks food, talks sports. And when there's games to pick, he picks it via where would he rather eat the food from. So he went down all 16 games. And he actually picked that upset. He picked St. Peter's over Kentucky based on the fact that St. Peter's is in Jersey. And Kentucky may have good food outside of Burgoo, which we mock. They may have good barbecue. We don't know. I don't really, outside of whiskey, I don't know what the hell's in Kentucky. But St. Peter's has great Italian. It's Jersey. I mean, Jersey has great food. So he went with St. Peter's, and he got that right, which is pretty impressive. Lots of upsets. Yesterday, you had Michigan, which was an 11 seed. Look, Michigan actually wasn't good. Juwan Howard punched a Wisconsin assistant. He got suspended, but they weren't good at that. Like at that point, they were not a tournament team. They were like bubble, and they didn't play better after that. He came back the beginning of the Big Ten tournament. They lost early in the Big Ten tournament and finished the year 17-14. They should not have been in the tournament. So of course they win their first game over a 6 seed Colorado State. We're down by double digits in the first half, and then came out in the second half and pummeled Colorado State, and they won going away. You had that St. Peter's win over Kentucky. Kentucky, a number 2 seed, going down in overtime to St. Peter's. That was a great game. Richmond, a 12 seed, knocked off the 5 seed Iowa, of course, like Blake Chadwick talked about yesterday. You always have a couple, if not, at least one, if not a couple, 12 over 5s. New Mexico State took out UConn, and it was a really cool day of action in the tournament. Yes, I'm referring to March Madness, which officially tipped off yesterday at 12:15. Again, more action today at 12:15. We'll talk loads about that as the professor. He will have his world famous, his hilarious top five at about 7:45 today. He'll join me. I don't know when he'll do the top five, but he'll do his top five, his big board, which is hysterical. And he loves to push the envelope. Today, he definitely will push the envelope. So he'll have his top five, but he'll also have college basketball. He'll also have college basketball plays. So we'll have the professor to join us, talk a little college basketball, talk the tournament. Also, Mark Lawrence, world famous handicapper. And I think he was 2-0 last week between college basketball and NBA. He'll talk about college basketball plays, I presume, for today, along with the professor. But he'll also talk a little NBA. He'll have plays for you. It's Degenerate Friday. Hello, we got to have plays. So we'll have Mark Lawrence. We'll have the professor, and we'll have the Gambling Gourmet, and he'll probably give some racing tips, and he'll probably pick a few of the games today based on food. Worked well for it. I think he was like 60% yesterday. So he did pretty well picking the matchups based on food. You have Devontae, like Defo likes to say, a lot going on in the world of sports. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers re-signs with the Packers, right? So, of course, Devontae Adams is staying. No. Devontae Adams works out an amazing deal. He's still a Packer in essence. So he works out an amazing deal to go to the Raiders. An insane deal. I think he'll be the highest paid receiver by a decent amount in the league. He will be now traded from the Packers to the Raiders. And the scuttlebutt all over the social world was, well, is Aaron Rodgers going to still stay there? Like, is Aaron Rodgers happy with this? Supposedly Aaron Rodgers knew. He had talked to Adams. Adams like, look, I'm not playing here anymore. I'm done with this. I want somewhere new. I want somewhere fresh. And Rodgers still decided to sign. I mean, he's getting $200 million over 4 years. And I think $150 million of it's guaranteed. So he's good. He's happy there. I don't know what the hell the Packers will be. I mean, Devontae Adams wasn't their entire receiving core, but many have him as the top 3 receiver in the league, if not the best receiver in the league. They definitely, Valdez-Scantling is not that. Who knows what Rodgers will have there, but the AFC West gets stronger. You had the Raiders go and get Chandler Jones, one of the best pass rushers in the game, from the Cardinals. They already had a pretty good defense. They already had a pretty good offense. They now give Derek Carr another weapon, and you sort of have to do that, as the Chargers last week went and got Khalil Mack to add to. It's funny, the defense had talent. The problem is they have injuries. Derwin James is always hurt, and Joey Bosa's hurt a lot. So that defense was really bad last year, but it shouldn't have been. They had talent. Well, now they add Khalil Mack to go on the other side of Joey Bosa, which is freaking scary. You're going to bring in J.C. Jackson, one of the better corners in the league, to pair him with Asante Samuel, who was a rookie and was a second-round pick that took the league by storm, ended up being one of the best defensive backs in all of football last year. You pair him with J.C. Jackson, who is 1, 2, or 3 as a cornerback in the NFL. Derwin James is, by all accounts, I think the best safety in the league when he's out there. Now you have a Chargers defense that's stiff. The AFC West is fucking scary. Like, we've talked about this with a few people, but like, Kansas City Chiefs are the standard, right? They either are going to win or in the Super Bowl. And last year they took the Bengals lightly. Bengals came back. They got Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, they went with a safe defense that Patrick Mahomes should have torched. Patrick Mahomes played one of his worst halves ever. I mean, he did not play well in the second half for Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. And the Chiefs fell, but a lot of people still presume the Chiefs are the class of that division. But the Broncos go and add Russell Wilson to a team that had a nice young defense, a nice young running game, nice young receiving core. Just needed a quarterback. The Raiders, a lot of people are like, well, the Raiders will be the 4th team. They were in the playoffs, but they'll be a 4th team. Will they? Like, I feel like it's 1A, 1B, 1C. Like, that division is insane right now. Like, any of those teams could win the division. Any of those teams can make the playoffs. Any of those teams could miss, because a lot of people are like, well, that division's all going to the playoffs. That's not true. They're all going to play each other. So where in some of the other divisions you get gimmies like the Jaguars or whatever, there's no gimmies in that division. Every week is going to be a freaking war. So the NFL keeps ticking. You have the NBA going on. I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I do find it funny that I get it. Look, the NBA hit a new level in the 80s. No one really knew the NBA. The NBA was around for a while by the 80s, but it wasn't popular. It was almost going to go bankrupt. And you had Larry Bird, Magic Johnson come in as stars, had their battle in college, and they took that throughout the 80s between the Boston Celtics, heralded franchise, Lakers, heralded franchise, and it took the NBA to a new level because they were stars. And the NBA, David Stern realized you need to promote stars. You need to bring the stars up, stand behind the stars, and push them out there. So that took the NBA to another level. Right now, look, the NBA has stars, and the stars are what drive the league. The problem is the biggest star is still LeBron James, and his team sucks. The probably second biggest star, or top 5 star, second best player, Kevin Durant, his team sucks. So they keep talking about the Lakers nationally. They keep talking about the Nets nationally, but both teams suck. Like, the teams that are really good, the Suns and the Heat, are boring. They don't fight with each other. They've had injury issues to their players. They just keep winning. Both are leading each conference and have for most of the year. They haven't, whenever they've struggled, they found a way. Neither really get talked about. I mean, Devin Booker is a star, but he's a good dude. He doesn't fight. He doesn't bitch and moan. He follows all the protocols. He does all the right things. So why would we talk about him? And the Miami Heat are very similar too. Like, Jimmy Butler was disgruntled until he got to Miami, and now you don't hear anything bad about Jimmy Butler. Tyler Hero was sort of spoiled brat until this year. Now he's probably the best 6-man in the league. Bam Adebayo has always been lunch pail guy. Now he's even good offensively, and he should be the defensive player of the year. He doesn't. Most people have never heard Bam Adebayo speak. So Kyle Lowry's always been, heart and hustle plus talent guy. Oladipo, he doesn't. He sings. He's a great singer, but no one like it's a team full of guys that go out there, get their job done. PJ Tucker's a little rough, but he's not a stud. And he's not a jerk off either. The two best teams right now, record wise, in their conferences are 2 teams no one gives a shit about, because there's no sizzle. So that's sort of what's weird with the NBA right now is, and it's funny because they have young stars, Luka, Trae Young, you have Jason Tatum, I'm in big markets, Jokic. Denver's actually a pretty big market. People think of Denver as a stupid market. Denver's like a top 10 market. Jokic is the reigning MVP. Probably he'll win it again. Embiid's having a good year. Jokic is just not. Jokic is the weirdest combination of abilities with whatever the fuck he looks like. He's big. He's fat. He's lost weight, but he still looks like he's fat. Like, he doesn't have any musculature at all. He can't move. He can't jump. But the dude, from a basketball IQ and a basketball level of play, is unmatched right now. He's like Luka, but at 7'2". It's insane. So these are stars that should carry the league, but none of them have personality. Giannis does, but Giannis, his level of play actually has gotten sort of boring. He either dunks it and he plays defense. He doesn't shoot threes with regularity. His ball handling's okay. His passing ability is okay, but his personality with Luka's play is what LeBron was. That's why LeBron stole the show, because LeBron was amazingly fun to watch, and he had no problem talking. He'd go out there, he'd say shit. Yeah, the shut up and dribble stuff, but you know what? It got headlines. It got attention. That's what Magic did. That's what Jordan didn't talk. Jordan's play was so fucking insane on such a different level that he didn't have to talk. And that's sort of what LeBron did that too, and Steph did that. Steph has never been a talker, but what Steph Curry did was revolutionize the game so much that it brought attention and brought eyeballs to the league. That sort of hurt the NBA. There's no team to love or hate. Everyone, there's parity, and the stars they have are good guys. There's no Iverson, who doesn't give a shit. The league is full of stars, but they're all kids that do the right thing. They don't fight. They don't start shit. They don't start trouble, which is a good thing, but it doesn't bring eyeballs. So sort of the NBA is in this weird position right now where it's the NFL offseason, and when a move like Devontae Adams happens, it's way bigger than whatever happened on the court in the NBA. Which the NBA offseason's always been interesting the last decade or so. It still doesn't shine from the NFL games. NFL games in September are a bigger deal than the NBA offseason. That's not the case. The NFL offseason is a bigger deal than the NBA games, which is freaking weird. But that's going on as I ramble about that. This is the Defo Show, of course, here on Ion Channel. I am Mike Lubitz. Defo is in Atlantic City. He is alive and well. I don't know if he's still flush, but he's alive and well. We will talk a lot of tournament, as the professor will have not only plays, but he'll have his big board. He'll do the whole thing. We'll have Mark Lawrence, championship winning handicapper. I think he was 2-0 last week between NBA games and college basketball men's conference tournaments. And we will also have the Gambling Gourmet. He will, I guess, break down games based on food. That's what he did yesterday on his lunchbox, and I think he did it pretty well. And he's done with us for now, I guess, 2 years. I mean, Mike Mayo been with us a few years now. He'll break down a matchup depending on what food he'd rather have from either city. Like St. Peter's versus Kentucky. Yesterday, he picked that upset, the number 2 seed, going down in overtime. Well, St. Peter's is in Jersey. Like Jersey. Most of us would rather the food that we find in Jersey over Kentucky. Again, I don't know what they have in Kentucky. If they have good Southern food, that'd be great. I love soul food. If they have good barbecue, they probably do. It's probably not just burgoo. But when you think food, Jersey has great Italian, and I'm sure Jersey is very New York, so you get everything. And most of us, like me, from South Florida, would rather that over whatever the hell you get in Kentucky that we don't understand. So Mayo went with St. Peter's, and he was right. St. Peter's won. So I'm sure he'll do a little bit of that when he joins me here at about 8:35. Also want to talk about NFL free agency. Devontae Adams will be joining the Raiders via trade from the Packers. We are out of South Florida. We have a lot of South Florida listeners, watchers. I know we get people from all over, so we bridge it out to all topics nationally. However, I do want to bitch for a little bit about the Dolphins as Mike McDaniel's come in, and he's the antithesis of Flores. Where Flores was really meticulous with defense. He had a system, and as much as you hate the Patriots, can't stand the Patriots, it's what they do. They don't put big name guys on their defense anymore. What they do is they grab guys, put them in a role, accentuate that role, and have them just excel at that role. And it has made their defense the last few years. In fact, if not, it's an elite defense, it's a good defense. And guys like Gilmore, who had struggled, had a good year with the Bills, but became elite with the Patriots. J.C. Jackson, a guy who was undrafted, no one ever heard of, is now a top 3 corner in the league. Like, they take guys who have talent and people aren't sure of, and they find a place and they use them. Flores was good with that with the Dolphins. Look, the Dolphins defense, outside of Xavier Howard, who again, Xavier Howard was a 2nd-round pick from Baylor. He was this big guy. He had some injury issues. So it's not like any of their names that have excelled. Jalen Phillips was a 1st-round pick, and Wilkins were 1st-round picks, mid-1st-round picks. Okay, so they are stars. They should be good. But the rest of it, Agba was sort of an issue. He had been good, but been bad before he came to Miami. Like, Jerome Baker was like a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. I mean, that the Javon Holland, yeah, a lot of people thought he could be good, but he was a 2nd-round pick, and he hadn't played. He had tapped out because of COVID at Oregon. So, like, their defense is full of huge names. It was a bunch of guys that had skill sets that Flores was good at accentuating. He was smart to flip the script last year and go back to an aggressive style of defense, blitzing the crap out of quarterbacks, not giving them time, and trusting Byron Jones, who was big money, but he wasn't a top 5 corner. Like, he just got a lot of money. Like, that's what Flores did, and he did that good job with that on defense. He just sucked on offense. His coaches he hired were horrendous. They were dumb. Like, it was just bad moves. They weren't good, and he didn't put systems in, or whoever his coaches were, to accentuate the players he had. He would go and get players and put them out there, and it just was a disaster. Then they draft Tua. He keeps Fitzpatrick to breathe down to his neck. He never fully gets behind Tua. All of his moves between coaches and players did not accentuate Tua to his abilities. Like, it just made no sense. So what Flores did on defense, he didn't do on offense. Well, Mike McDaniel, the offensive coaching hire, is doing the opposite. I don't know what he really kept the defensive staff intact because he realized the defense worked, and if Boyer was highly involved, then you just keep what's working. But on offense, he's now bringing in a system, and he's trying to bring players who will work with that system. Not the biggest name, not the biggest price tag, not the best player, quote unquote, but the best player for the system, which is what the coaches that win do. So that's a great thing. And so far, their free agency has been solid. Like, they haven't gone and gotten the huge names yet. But Raheem Mostert broke playoff records under Mike McDaniel in San Francisco. Good signing. Edmonds was like top 10 in yards per carry, top 10 yards after contact. All the things you want from a running back in this kind of a scheme. Good signing. The Connor Williams with Dallas was a top 11 guard. Okay, when your guards last year were in the 20s and 30s, that's a step up. And none of these guys got insane money. So they still have a lot of cap room, and they have room to get rid of guys like Jesse Davis to fill out the roster even better. The only issue I have, and it feels like it's not a Mike McDaniel issue, which anyone who's listened to us the last 2 years, it might be longer, because when Tannenbaum was kicked out finally of my, Greer should have gone with him. Greer Tannenbaum. He was a Tannenbaum guy, and even before, and for some reason they kept Greer. They elevated Greer to GM, and then things didn't get better. Greer traded everyone away, started from scratch, got 30 picks, and had one pretty good draft. That's it. Everyone's like, well, the 2021 draft. It was, first of all, 3 guys. It was Tua, or was that the 2020 draft? It might have been Tua. Okay. So the 2020 draft, and people still, I like Tua. Most people don't. 2021 was, you had Phillips, you had Javon Holland. And then there was a third guy that they got that people like. Okay. Wonderful. So they got, but still they had like 7 or 8 picks. So that's still below like 40%. So for one, they've had like 30 something picks over the last 3 years because they loaded up picks and they got 3 good players that you can count on for sure. And the rest, we don't know. I mean, Greer's done a horrible job. So Greer should have been gone many times over. And when Flores was fired, which I didn't mind because, again, he only focused on one side of the ball. And we're in an era where the offense is more important than defense, not less. So I didn't mind Flores being gone. All that's happened after is freaking circus because it's the Dolphins with Stephen Ross. But they bring in an offensive guy, and then you keep Greer. And Greer's proven himself with free agency to be a disaster. Whatever trades have not worked. And his drafts haven't been good. He's had one pretty good draft. And the rest of them have sucked. So to keep Greer made no sense. But the move they've made so far seemed very McDaniel. Okay, the young guy knows what he wants to do. He's been successful at it. He obviously was highly involved with Kyle Shanahan in game planning. And he's bringing that to the Dolphins, and he's bringing in players to work with it, which the Dolphins haven't had. It looks like a plan. Cool. But they need offensive line help. Look, we've talked with a few people. We talked with Jimmy Johnson last year at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill of Key Largo, and we're hoping in the next, I think, couple weeks to get back down there. And Jimmy was very honest. He said, look, outside of the head coach, the second most important coach is your offensive line coach. We're like, really? He's like, yep. He's like, because talent matters at offensive line, but look at the guys we had in Dallas. Not everyone, most of them weren't first-round picks. You're like, we had and their offensive line coach is a legend. He was with me forever. I never let him go because he could take average guys and make them great. A good offensive line coach, and that's what the Patriots did. Patriots never had big-name offensive linemen. Their guy, Scarnecchia, with Belichick forever. He let every coach go. He never let Scarnecchia go because that guy was able to make gold out of shit, lemonade out of lemons. So that's a huge thing. The offensive line coach does matter. It's a big deal. Jimmy Johnson said it himself, and we respect his opinion, obviously. So the Dolphins' talent may have been okay. The offensive line coaches were an issue. Like Brian Flores had like 4 or 5 of them. I think he had 2 or 3 last year alone. So obviously the offensive line coach is an issue, but the talent's not good either. Like, come on. Like the Dolphins have obviously failed in the draft to draft offensive linemen. So the idea is go out in free agency, get guys that you know are good already. Mike McDaniel hired an offensive line coach that had a lot of success at Boston College. So a lot of people are behind that hire. Cool. And pair real talent with a real coach. No. Chris Greer, the piece of work, comes out yesterday point blank saying, and people have been waiting for the Dolphins to sign one of the bigger named offensive linemen, either trade for La'el Collins, who just got released by the Cowboys. So sign La'el Collins, a right tackle, again, like I talked about yesterday, which is the guy the anchor for a left-handed quarterback, or go and get Terron Armstead, the probably best free agent of the entire class from New Orleans. He'll cost you money, but he's a legit offensive lineman, a stud, one of the best tackles in the game, which is what you need. The Dolphins haven't had real offensive linemen since Marino was here. Literally, Richmond Webb and Keith Sims in the middle of the 90s was the last time they had a real offensive line. That's a long time. And they've put money and time and picks into the offensive line. We've talked about this with Dave Hyde a lot and still failed. So if you have a chance to go get legit free agent, not some stopgap guy, do it. Well, Chris Greer comes out yesterday and says, well, we believe in the guys we've drafted. Duh, he drafted them and he's still here. So he's trying to, hammer it home that he did a good job, which obviously he didn't. We still believe in the guys we have. They need to be coached. We hope they will grow. Stop fucking hoping and wishing. Like Defo, we always play this song, wishing and hoping and hoping and wishing for the Dolphins, because that's what it is. Every year you're hoping and wishing. Literally, that sentence alone screams Chris Greer. Like, screams the guy that has no clue what he's doing. He clearly has no clue what he's doing. And the moves we've liked so far are Mike McDaniel's. Like, they're not like the moves Greer would make. They are sound. They're logical. They work. Nothing Greer has done has been sound, logical, or worked. So, obviously, it's Mike McDaniel. And finally, Greer needs to step up. It's free agency going and spending big. That's not the coach. That's the GM. And Greer opens his mouth, making it clear we know it's his decision. And then sounds like a dumbass. The fact that, again, we've talked about Chris Greer must have pictures. He must have like fucking crazy pictures for Stephen Ross to keep him through how many coaches if he's been here supposedly over 15 years. So how many coaches have come and gone and he stayed? We've now had multiple GMs come and go and he stayed. And he's not good. Like, people around the league like him, but like when he's gotten into a position of power, it's not gotten better. The things he's supposedly openly admitting he's focusing on have not gotten better. So like, I do not understand for a second how he still has a job, but we talked about that. Fine, he's there for this year at least. What I don't understand is how a grown-ass adult doesn't learn a lesson. You drafted these guys, they're not working. Fine, you like the offensive line coach. Cool. Don't get rid of everyone. No one's saying start from scratch. But, dude, if you have a chance to get a premier tackle and he's out there, and there's been discussions that Armstead and Collins both like the Dolphins, and you have cap space, and you've cleared the cap space for this, what the hell are you saving the money for? What? This is when you do it, when you have a rookie quarterback that has on a young quarterback on a rookie contract. Look what the Chargers are doing. Look what the Bengals are doing. Look what the Chiefs have done in the past. Look at what all the Raiders, look what all these teams do. Look what the Bills have done. Now, Allen's not a big deal, but before, they surrounded him to get to that next level, because once they get that big deal, it's hard to surround them with talent. Ask Russell Wilson. Seattle started falling off when Wilson got paid. So the hope is Tua's the guy, right? Okay, well, if he becomes the guy, he's going to get paid a lot of money. So you're not going to be able to pay all these dollars to these guys. Get them now. So I don't know what the hell. Look, and it's pretty, again, clear. I've been very open and honest about my feelings for Chris Greer, because I didn't know the guy, but I've watched his track record. Like, come on. It's now years of a track record. And it's always it wasn't me. It was that guy. It was first Tannenbaum. Okay, fine. Then it was, Flores had a big part of it. Okay, but then why were you there? Like, if Flores is making the decisions, Mike McDaniel's clearly highly involved in these decisions. He's bringing in every guy from San Francisco he can. That's not Greer. Okay, then what is Greer doing? Like, why have a guy who's just a name at a position? I don't understand, and I will never understand. Stephen Ross obviously has issues as an owner. We see he's now, what other owner has been alleged to offer money directly for losing? Owners, we've seen teams like the Colts go real hard after tanking, real hard, getting a guy who's been out of the league in Kerry Collins and one of the worst backups ever in Curtis Painter to be your quarterbacks. We're really sucking for luck, but you never heard the owner's voice ever attached to that, let alone ideas that he may have actually paid to lose. Stephen Ross, he got that. Like, every year there's new circus crap around the Dolphins under Stephen Ross. And we've seen that with his hires and with his lack of fires. When he fires guys, it's always too late. And then he always leaves guys lingering because of look, it's so funny. It's such a weird thing that in life, all we want is loyalty, especially at our employment. You never get loyalty. Everyone says, look, they'd get rid of you in a heartbeat. Everyone knows that at their job. But for some reason, Stephen Ross is loyal. So it should be commendable. Should be admirable. Problem is, it doesn't lead to success. Loyalty in the working place may breed success because it gives confidence to people. Loyalty in sports, it just allows people who suck to keep their job. And it's weird for a guy who's been so successful in his entire business life to be so horrible as an owner and so clueless. So there's my rant for the day about the Dolphins. If you're a Dolphin fan, you definitely are feeling what I'm feeling because I'm seeing it in spades all over social media. If you're not a Dolphin fan, you probably feel it. Like, the Bengals finally are trying. But how long did the Bengals go without trying? The Rams finally have gone all out the last 5 years. But how long were the Rams? The Cardinals finally, when they drafted Murray, went all in. But how long were the Cardinals? How many fan bases have dealt with a franchise that's like, do they care? Are they trying? Like, the Dolphins have become that. They weren't that. My whole life, the Dolphins always were a contender. In the last 20 years, it's been like, we see them spending money, but where's it going? So I think even if you're not a Dolphin fan, you can feel my pain and frustration. This is the Defo Show with Lubie. No Defo. but you do have Lubie right here on Ion Channel coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Hopefully, the guy, I was with him yesterday. We were taking in some of the game action with a friend of ours, Gia, my wife, Shirley. We were at the Foundry. We talk about establishments here. Love land lovers, love Roadhouse, love all the places that Mike Mayo connected with. The professor is one of the proprietors of the Foundry. It's off of Atlantic, if you're down here, off of Atlantic Boulevard, just east of US 1. If you're not from down here, but you are coming to South Florida, you got to check it out. The Foundry, it's really cool. The way it's set up, it has a pretty wide open menu and everything they do a really good job at. So we were there and he was drinking and we were drinking. So I left like at 5-ish. So I'm hoping he'll be up and be with me the next 15 minutes. And the professor will have his big board, also give you some college basketball plays. Following that, we will have the one and only championship winning handicapper, Mark Lawrence, who was 2-0 last week, to give at least a play, I would think, for the tournament today, and maybe an NBA play from this weekend. And following that, we'll have the Gambling Gourmet, and he'll talk food and sports. I'm focused on him talking about the games from a food perspective because he did it yesterday on his Mike Mayo's Lunchbox show that airs on 1470 AM down here and also the Odyssey app. But he also he did the thing he's done here with us where he picked games based on between the teams, what city they're in is the better food location. And I think he had a 60+% clip. So he did pretty well. So I'm thinking and I'm hoping he will do that today here on the Defo show with Lubie. Defo is in Atlantic City right now. I know I've talked to him, so he's alive. He made it safely. I think he won the bet. Spirit was on time. So he actually got there to watch all the games yesterday. I don't know how he did financially. That I don't know. So we'll cross our fingers and hope he did well. The staying didn't go nuts in a bad way at the slots. And we will have all of that. If you want to check out anything we do, of course, just Google the Defo show, DEFO, but also we have a streamer. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the radio. I love the radio. Look, I listen to the radio. I get it. We're on the radio. Defoandlubie.com. DEFO and LUBIE. Defoandlubie.com/live. If you want to just hear us and you're driving and watching, it makes no sense. There you go. Defoandlubie.com. Doug does a great job with that. And also we do an exclusive podcast every single day. Believe.com, search After Hours. Yesterday we talked with Brandon Lang. He gave a lot of plays. I think he did pretty well. And the day before we talked with Charles Davis, and he talked a lot about NFL free agency and the upcoming NFL draft. And Charles Davis with CBS, Iron Eagles partner. So he's always fun. He's always great. So yeah, check that out. Believe.com, search After Hours. And our South Florida content, you can check that out. 5 Reasons Sports Network, the YouTube page. There is a Defo show playlist. So check that out. And of course, every day, live 7 to 9. They also archive it. Jack, Amy, Brad, everyone at Ion does a great job. Search the Defo show on Google. It's very easy. Yes, I know. Look at us. We're challenged. We're challenged mentally, but we're challenged when it comes to technology. So Jack's made it nice and easy. The Defo show, DEFO, and you can check out, I think it's not every show we've done, damn near. We've now been here since late October. So we've put together a nice little anthology. So go check out what we've done there and right here. The Defo show, DEFO, live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9. Going to take a break. When I get back, I hopefully will have the professor. If I don't, talk a little bit more about the tournament as number 2 Kentucky goes down. That was a great game. I didn't get to watch all the games like I wanted to. I had some other stuff to do yesterday. I got to watch that game, and that was great. St. Peter's, a team I've never heard of, out of Jersey, not only hung with, look, Kentucky was, I don't know if you can be a sleeper as a 2 seed, but a lot of people had Gonzaga winning it, Arizona, or Kentucky. Those are the 3 names I heard a lot. Well, game 1, the number 2 seed goes down to number 15, Kentucky. They're out of it. Coach Cal looked beside himself in that game. And I actually don't hate Coach Cal, but I do love seeing him squirm. He's not Coach K to me, but I do like seeing him squirm a little. The dude's always a little arrogant. So it was pretty cool to see him go down. I don't know in flames because it did go to overtime, and it was to me, it might have been the best game. I know the Iowa game of Fitzy going down was pretty cool to a lot of people. But that game, St. Peter's and Kentucky went to overtime, and it was a battle until the end of overtime. Game-winning shot at the buzzer kind of stuff. Kentucky had a shot to Kentucky had a chance to make a shot to tie. So that game was great. A lot of great action yesterday with the NCAA Tournament. And 16 more games today. And you can watch every single game, every single minute. Starts at 12:15, goes till, I think, 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Get your weekend started. Oh, also, I have to do a little promotion. And we love our sponsors. Hialeah Park does an amazing job. We love Hialeah Park. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill of Key Largo. Amazing place. My buddy, he's been on with us before a few years ago. He's a writer in Hollywood and producer. Justin Later, South Florida kid made good. He's going to come on with us next week, actually. Today, Netflix, March 18th, Windfall, Jason Segel. Yes, Jason Segel, forgetting Sarah Marshall. That Jason Segel. Jesse Plemons, who's in like everything now. And Lily Collins, Miss Emily in Paris, my wife's, I think, favorite show right now. Starring Windfall right now, out today on Netflix. You got to check it out. Justin Later, an amazing writer. Actually worked with his buddy Andy, who wrote Seven. Yes, you know Seven, Academy Award. I don't know if it won, but it was definitely nominated in the 90s. The writer of Seven, and my buddy who wrote The Discovery and The One I Love, already 2 movies. It's amazing. In less than 8 years, he has 3 movies out, which is pretty cool. And he has a lot of other stuff in the works. Good dude. We've had him on before. He's going to join, I think, with maybe Andy or the director, Charlie McDowell. Yes, that's Malcolm McDowell's son. And Ted Danson and Mayor Steenburgen's son. He's his own man, Charlie McDowell, doing huge things in Hollywood. He and my buddy Justin partner up to write and direct multiple projects. Their latest thing, Windfall, getting great reviews. It's out today, right now, this weekend. Check the NCAA Tournament action. You got to check out Windfall. Everything these guys do is amazing. It makes you think a little. It's a little out there, but the writing is spectacular. And they do a really good job putting their films together. Netflix has been on them since the beginning. They were one of Netflix's first original film groups. And they keep putting out stuff because they keep doing a great job. So check out Windfall, out today. Jason Segel, Jesse Plemons, and Lily Collins. Believe me, it'll help get your weekend started with some tournament action. All right, coming up, when we get back, we will talk with, I say we, Defo has me in this we. There's no we, it's just me. Hi, I'm by myself. I'm in the room by myself. But the we thing sounds better. And he is there. Thank God. You can't tell I'm stalling. I will be joined by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Top 5, Mr. Big Board, the one that on his own accord just makes things better when I bust my ass and seem to make it worse. The Professor, Ken Jacobson, Mr. Foundry, will be joining me and you next. Not sure when he'll do the top 5. We'll talk a little tourney. He, like Blake Chadwick, are the only 2 people I know that actually watch basketball, college basketball, all year long. So we respect what they have to say. I think he hit it out of the park last week with his conference tourney plays. So he'll have some plays for you. And, of course, I've been privied. He's going to push the envelope, which is why we love him. Coming up next, the Professor right here, The Defo Show with Lubie on the Ion channel. Again, Google The Defo Show. Be right back after this.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? A $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children's children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
There you go. Welcome back to the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. We are very privileged, honored, and lucky to have this gentleman joining our show now since the beginning. I don't think we would have existed this long without him. The one and only Ken Jacobson, the professor himself. Here, he will have his big board, and I know we'll talk a little bit of college tourney action. Good morning. Thank you for joining me early. I know early is not always your favorite. Good morning, Professor. What's going on?
Not much. How about yourself, Lubes?
Nothing much. So we'll start here with a tourney because we'll leave the biggest and best part of the day to the end of your segment. We'll do an extended professor today, and we will have Mark Lawrence following, and then the Gambling Gourmet to break down food and sports at around 8:35. How did you take in the action? We had you and I watched some of the games together. I love the upsets. Kentucky losing to St. Peter's is always fun. I'm sure it fucked up a lot of brackets, and you rolled your eyes, so it probably wasn't your dream when you are more into the gambling end of things than I am, just spectating.
I didn't have any action on that game. I have stayed away.
You went far, like you weren't having them lose to St. Peter's, I presume.
Oh, the brackets?
Yeah.
I don't even honestly at this point in my life, I fill out a couple brackets, just because I get entered in free contests, and they number one, I fill out so many of them that trying to keep track of what I picked here and what I picked there is kind of impossible. And number two, brackets are. There's something I'm not. I'm sure there's some people out there who are really good at them and can consistently win.
Yeah.
I don't happen to be. I think I've finished second in a big contest once.
Nice.
That paid the. I'm not sure I've ever actually won a bracket, so it's not my thing. Some people take them very personally. I remember when I first met you. I think one of the first years we know each other, you took your brackets very personally. I've just never been that guy. If my brackets go 14-2, great. If they go 10-6, great. I don't really care. It's not that the whole bracket thing. I get why people are into it, but to me, it's just too random. So.
Well, I know from a gambling standpoint, I was with you and you kicked fucking ass yesterday.
That's a different story. The individual games, I'm definitely very much dedicated to, but the brackets, not so much.
All right, so I am excited for your big board.
I'm not Rick New. Was it Rick Neuheisel that won $100,000? Yeah.
But didn't he get in trouble?
I'm not Rick Neuheisel. Yeah, I think he lost his job at Washington.
And he has never coached again, if you noticed. And he was a good coach. He's never gotten a gig since, I think. And Phil Mickelson got in trouble for brackets too. You're not supposed to gamble, and we know he's a fucking.
I think there's a lot of suspicion about Phil Mickelson's gambling in general, not because he wins, because he's obviously a pretty good gambler. But there's been stories for years that he's tied in with some syndicates that are not, let's say, not entirely legal and certainly frowned upon by the bookmaking community. So I think Phil's gambling is one of those stories because he's kind of an attention whore. So I feel like that's a story we're gonna get 20 years from now, and it's gonna be a very interesting story if we ever find out all the details of it.
All right. So before we get to the big board, and I want to make sure to leave you all the time in the world for it, I do want some of your.
We don't need all the time in the world. Jeez.
Well, anyways, I want some action from you because we always end up, oh shit, we need games, and then you just throw it in, and then I don't even know if it's planned or you get to explain it the way you used to with college football. But so I want to get to the games before and just let you do your big board. What are you looking at today? Because did you end up going undefeated yesterday?
Yeah, I went 7-0. Unfortunately, Defo called me at 3:00, so he only got the last 4 of them. But you can confirm it with Defo. I hope, because he was like, "Give me your best play," which was Murray State. Which I'm not gonna lie, that one was a little lucky. It was a little unlucky because they were on track to cover and then really choked in the last minute, but then came back in overtime and covered. So I don't know. I don't know how you deal with that balance. Whether that was you're unlucky that it went to overtime, or you're lucky once it went to overtime. Anyway, it was a winner. But I know Deef, he's got, a couple of 6 a day to cover for Mustang slot action. So I hope he went in on more than just one game.
Okay,
so if you're listening, Defo, I hope you went. Yeah, I'm not promising 7-0 again.
No.
Tough to do.
I'm just saying, because we always make fun of those people. Undocumented 17-2, documented 6-20. Like, I was there. I was witnessing this. He was 7-0 yesterday. Of course, I got down on nothing like a dumbass. I pulled a Defo and was
Honestly, I can only document 4 of them through people in the show, but you can ask Defo. Defo has a timestamped text message. Whatever. I'm not Floyd Mayweather. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we trust you.
Post fake tickets.
You were 7-0 yesterday, which is fucking insane. Again, we're not
I've
promising.
I've picked enough losers on this show that I feel like people know I don't lie about it.
We're very aware of your record, and it's always at least 60%, if not better. So you were 100% yesterday. We can't promise that today, but I'm sure you'll do very well. What are the games you're looking at today, and what, from a gambling perspective, are you into today that you want to share?
Well, unfortunately, unlike yesterday, where we got off to a really nice start right at the noon games, I don't like any of the first 3 early games. All big numbers. I don't really see an advantage in a particular advantage in any side. So I'm sort of off the board until 3:10, and our hometown Miami Hurricanes playing USC, currently getting 2 points against the Trojans, and we are going to go against Jim Larinaga and the Canes, unfortunately. Miami's had a lot of problems with size. USC has size across the board. USC does on occasion struggle with really good athletes. You saw that against Arizona a couple times, but I don't think Miami's quite at that level athletically. I think USC's size will trump Miami's speed in this one. And again, USC's big everywhere. They got a guard who's like 6'8" or 6'9", another one who's like 6'5". Mobley's 6'11", and he's their power forward. They've got another guy. He's probably not quite 6'11", but he's like 6'10" and bulky. I just think there's too many trees for Miami in this one, and I look for USC to take him down.
Well, Larinaga literally with us this week told us that, that's what we're worried about. They rebound really well. Their guard 6'5", and then everyone else is 6'9" and up. And we're like, oh, shit. He's like, and we don't rebound well. So it's going to be interesting. Like, he openly said it. So, like, that's never a great.
It's not just the rebounding. It's, when you have to shoot over. Look, you've coached basketball with the little kids. When you have a big kid that other people have to shoot over, it's really difficult. So, I think the size for Miami is going to be a problem in this one. I'm definitely looking at USC this one. A couple others here. Virginia Tech comes into the tournament blazing hot. I have not liked Texas all year long. They're very inconsistent. I'm on the Hokies here, but I will tell you, when Texas has been good, at times they've been very good. So we're definitely pointing at VT plus the 1 there. Illinois, another team, they're entirely built around Kofi Cockburn. Offensively, when he's not really going crazy, they don't have much. Tennessee Chattanooga, another team, kind of look, I'm not saying the skill level, but in terms of just the bodies, they look like a major conference team. They've got size at the forward positions. They've got some big kids. They've got some strong kids. I think +8 here. I think the Mocs are going to be very competitive in this game. I don't know if they're going to win straight up, but I definitely think they will be in it right till the end here. So I would look for Chattanooga in that one. Just scanning the board real quick.
You don't have to give every game, just whatever games you.
No. I'm just looking. Make sure I'm not missing any. Alabama, Notre Dame. A lot of people are Notre Dame. I'm not sure on that one. I think Notre Dame actually might be a little worn out. They played a triple overtime game against Rutgers. Super emotional. So I'm staying away from that one. And the last one of the night, I do think Seton Hall will have an advantage over TCU. TCU's team, they won a lot of nice home games, but they've been rotten away from their home floor. And I don't think that travels well to a neutral site. So I would definitely leave Seton Hall in that one.
All right, those are the professor's plays. Just a recap real quick. And again, he was 7-0 yesterday, undocumented. We're admitting it, but it would have been documented if I was smart enough to get him on the show. That was my bad. USC, I'm giving him laying 2. This is what I'm giving him. Laying 2 over UM. VT +2 over Texas. That's what I'm giving you. Just take it. VT +2 or getting 2. I'll use the term. Getting 2 over Texas. Chattanooga getting 8 over Illinois, and Seton Hall laying 1 and a hook or laying 2 over.
I've actually got him showing him a pick right now, but that's fine.
Oh, I don't care. That's fine. I try to give you the benefit of the doubt. So, all right. So Seton Hall pick them over TCU. Those are the professor's plays, and again, I'll try and announce them as
I
the
think
show.
You're missing something, Lubie.
What?
That's not all my plays.
What's your other play?
What time of year is it, Lubie? It's the biggest time of year.
Australian rules is back.
It is the first weekend
Yes.
of AFL of Australian rules football.
Oh, I'm like, you've been weird about this place. Why are you being weird? Okay, sorry. We stopped documenting it when we left the radio, so I don't remember what your official record was, but it was fucking insane. Then you got like 2 wrong the entire time. So we definitely, if you have Aussie rules picks, I will start tracking them.
Okay, well, you better get your pen out because we're going to start tracking them right now. The first game
I'm here. Yeah,
starts tonight at 11:10, so you can, watch that Seton Hall game and then halftime flip over to the Aussie rules game and then flip back and forth. And we're taking Essendon getting 7.5 from Geelong. Geelong kind of overperformed last year. Essendon, a team that found their offense super late in the season. I like Essendon fast up front. They're not the biggest team in Aussie rules, but I definitely like them to at least cover, if not straight up win, getting 7.5 against Geelong.
Okay. That's it.
No, that's not it. That's not even close to it. Come on, Lubie.
It's not even close. Sorry, my bad, sir. Go ahead.
Our next one, a team that has been a favorite of ours for, I guess this will be our 3rd year on Aussie rules. So it's been a favorite of ours, and that is Port Adelaide. They were down a little bit last year, but we're looking for a big bounce back season. The Power getting 12.5 from Brisbane. We'll take Port Adelaide and 12.5 in just about any situation. So for us, this is an absolute no-brainer.
Okay. So that's 2. Essendon getting 8 over Geelong. Port Adelaide getting 13 over Brisbane. Okay, what else, Mr. Aussie Rules?
And then our last one, a team that we did really well on last year, and that's Great Western Sydney, the Giants, getting 3.5 at home from Sydney, and obviously the rivalry matchup between Great Western Sydney and Sydney. Or, if you know people named Sydney, I don't know. Does anybody name their kid Sydney anymore? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Anyway, but we're taking the Great Western Sydney over Sydney plus 3.5. So those are our 3 Aussie rules for opening week.
And those of you who are like, Aussie rules, what the fuck's Aussie rules? There's a little backstory because I guess maybe not everyone's followed us from radio or have caught every show all the time. During the pandemic, the beginning, I guess it's still going on.
Yeah, this was the super beginning. This is like when all the American sports got canceled.
Of the pandemic, when there was no sports, and I don't know how, but we did like 3 months of radio and we actually got through it. We would have the professor on every week, and eventually we're not going to have the professor on and not get play. So he, being the inventive, creative person he is, found like every sport that wasn't American that we'd never heard of.
Yes.
What was it? Taiwan. It wasn't baseball. It was
Taiwan super
the basketball. Wasn't it Taiwanese basketball?
Yeah, it was, but I'm trying to remember what it was called. I remember that Taiwan Beer was the team we rode all year long, but it's got one of those stupid Far East named the Giant League, or I don't know.
So it's Taiwanese
Panda League or whatever.
Not even like baseball. Like people know Taiwan plays baseball. No, Taiwan basketball, which no one knew existed. And it was sort of fun. We poked fun at it. Whatever. Fine. Here's plays. And then he landed on Aussie rules football. And somehow he's a fucking savant with Aussie rules football. He's one of the best college football handicappers ever, and he sucked at college football compared to fucking Aussie rules. Like he started I think 17-0. Like it was I
don't think it was quite that, but yeah, it was a pretty crazy number.
You started insane, and the joke became real. It was like, fuck this. Like we started sports again, and we still wanted Aussie rules because he killed it. So those of you who are like, what the hell is Aussie rules? You probably won't have any idea what it is. I tried to watch it just so that the segments would be better. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but just do what he says. Tell your bookie or your site.
It's mostly like rugby.
Sure. Do what he says.
That's the closest comparison.
If you want to make money, do what he says because his clip is ridiculous. So
again, you're overselling a little bit, Lubie, but
no, okay. I'm telling you. I think you were like 24-3. Like it was some weird. I'm not saying you're gonna always hit at that rate. I get that. I'm just saying like it was fucking nuts. Like you.
Okay.
All right. So this is the Defo Show. Lubie, Professor Ken Jacobson. No Defo. He is in Atlantic City. I know he made it. I didn't get any ranting texts, so he may not be broke yet. So that's a win.
There you go. That's a positive.
Usually I'll get fucking staying. Like usually I'll get like that in the text, and
maybe she hit. She's been due for like 5 years, so
Oh, Andy, man, his daughter is sitting. Yeah, but your daughter's like, isn't your daughter 20, Andy? You just proved my point. Like the question was, does anyone still name their daughter Sydney? She was born in the 90s, Andy. So anyway,
Crosby.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. He's like 30 something now. So anyways, Defo will be back Tuesday. We have the professor. We coming up. I don't know if we should take a break or if you're ready now. I'm leaving this.
Whatever you want to do, Lubes. You tell me.
We can take a quick break. This is the Defo show. Again, we don't do this often, but we were there yesterday, so I feel like it's relevant. The Foundry, Atlantic Boulevard, just east of US 1. Ken is not a boastful person. He doesn't come on to talk about that. He just comes on to help us out. But Defo and I don't give a shit because Defo's wife, I think, spends most of their money at the Foundry. So
yes, it makes up perfect. There you go.
Might as well recoup it or something. We were there yesterday. You guys have done some stuff with the menu, which is cool. You guys did you were packed for St. Patty's Day.
Yep.
Anything going on there that you'd love the people to know about the Foundry before we take a break?
Again, there's 4 or 5 new things on the menu. I highly recommend. And you could tell looking at me that this is not the kind of recommendation you'd expect from me, but I actually highly recommend the turkey burger. Is excellent. Because once in a while you want to switch it up from just a plain old. And I think the burgers are great, but once in a while you want a little change in your life. That's good. And then there's a new pizza with chicken and prosciutto, which is not necessarily a combo you'd expect on a pizza, but they got me to try it, and it's absolutely delicious. I think Lubie and the lovely Shirley shared one yesterday. So give one of those a shot, and come on out, watch some games, have a drink or two. Spend a fun Friday or Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
If you go this weekend, you'll probably meet the professor. You may meet me because it's my favorite place to watch games outside of Landlubber. So check out the Foundry again, Atlantic Boulevard, just east of US 1. Even if you don't live here, if you're coming down at some point, you'll be here. It's definitely worth taking some time to grab some grub, great drink. And they've done a great job with the view. It's like in a perfect spot. So check out the Foundry. And coming up next, and I've called it this, and Defo's called it this because we feel like it's this, the world famous Big Board.
Definitely not world famous. Again, you picked up the shill thing from Defo.
The world famous Big Board. Coming up next, the professor, Lubie. We love you, Defo. Right here, the Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Again, Google the Defo Show, DEFO, and the Big Board coming up next.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
This comes from the great Defo Llama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Welcome back again to the Defo Show. It'd be nice if you could see us. That'd be a positive. All right, there you go. Hey, the Defo Show. Again, Google Defo, the Defo Show, DEFO, to check out everything we're doing. This man has joined us every week, I think, since the beginning. So almost 12 years now. You started, what was this, your fifth one? Is this your fifth one already?
I don't know.
I think it's your fifth one. Okay, so around the Super Bowl, the professor wanted to step his game up because he's just that dude. And he started doing A top 5. And years ago, he did a the power rankings. And those who didn't understand why, it was mocking power rankings. Everyone does a power ranking for every sport or every idea or everything. It's not even a sports thing, like entertainment. Surely we'll look on TikTok and have a fucking power ranking. So, of course, Ken had to mock it and ended up becoming like our favorite segment every week. He did top 10 and it was fucking hilarious for years. So, almost a month and a half ago, he started his rankings. Well, of course, he took it to another level. Now there's a fucking big board. It's a whole thing. So we look forward to it every freaking week now. Defo and I, every week he stepped it up somehow. It's hilarious. This week, I think he's going to push it to a level I don't know if people in the Northeast will be big fans of, but I am going to be a big fan of it. So without further ado, turn it over to the professor and his world famous big board.
Okay, Lubie. So, fundamentally, my defining quality is that I'm lazy.
Sure.
Particularly this time of year, I don't want to do anything except watch basketball all day and possibly drink. But outside of that, really, I'm not. So I was being pretty lazy this week and looking for something that would just drop in my lap for the big board. And unfortunately, it kind of happened. And I'm not really happy about having to do this big board this week, but I feel like it's necessary given the timing because there was an event at the top of the week that somebody tried to grab all the attention away from the NCAA tournament because that's just the kind of piece of human garbage that he is. And of course, it was followed by the same kind of relentless propaganda that has followed this person around for 20 years and everybody pretending they're happy about it, despite the fact that 90% of you out there actually hate this man and only pretend to like him. And those of you who do like him, half of you only like him for stupid reasons, political stuff and whatnot. So I think you got a pretty good guess what this week's topic is going to be, Lubie.
Yeah.
And that is, it's time to review it. It's time to put the proper non-propaganda spin on this man's career and lifetime. And that is time for the big board of Tom Brady.
We may get kicked off on this one, but it'll be worth it. Jack may say, fuck you, Defo and Lubie, after this, but it'll be worth it. The big board of Tom Brady, number 5.
As you well know, Lubie, I hate all versions of Tom Brady.
Yes.
I hate Michigan Tom Brady. I hate abandon the mother of his kids to run off with Giselle Tom Brady. I hate cheater Tom Brady. I hate Boston Tom Brady. I hate Tampa Tom Brady. I hate avocado ice cream. I hate them all. But there's one particular Tom Brady that I dislike more than all Tom Brady's, and that's number 5. That's long-haired crybaby bitch Tom Brady. For those of you who don't remember, Tom Brady went through a phase about 10 years ago where he grew his hair out long like a giant girl. And then he went on ESPN and he cried for like half an hour straight through an interview because he was still so upset about draft day 10 years later. And he cried for 2.5 straight minutes, remembering how he and his mom and dad took a walk on draft day because he was so upset that he didn't get drafted until the 6th round. Now, mind you, this is not while he was still on his rookie contract. This was while he was shattering records. This was while he was making all the money in the world. This is while he still wasn't as well paid as his wife, and he's never going to be well paid as his wife because Tom Brady doesn't get to wear the pants in his family. But he was very well paid at that time. He had nothing to be sad about. And so now, and look, I realize some other quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers are still bitter about where they were drafted. But number one, I think we've all come to realize over the last year that everything we once thought was charming about Aaron Rodgers and his driving the tournament is actually just because Aaron Rodgers is a giant douchebag. But at least when Aaron Rodgers does it, he gets mad and snarky about it. He doesn't sit there with Pedro Gomez and cry for 10 minutes about it. So that's number one part of Tom Brady's career to remember is that Tom Brady was a long-haired girl who cried on ESPN for 2 straight minutes about draft day.
All right.
And that takes us to number 2, Lubie, or to number 4, Lubie, because I think this plays in to a similar thing that we should remember about Tom Brady, which is, oh, his life is so perfect and he does this and he does that. You know what Tom Brady actually is, Lubie? He's the NFL's version of a Kardashian. The reason you never hear anything about Tom Brady during the offseason is because Tom Brady spends every offseason getting massive amounts of plastic surgery. People are actually going to think I'm faking this. I want you to go yourselves to the internet, do your own research. This is, in fact, a before and after picture of Tom Brady. On the left here, the one with the fat face and the different hairline, the different eyebrow line, and the different nose, whose butt chin is more noticeable than the one on the right. All of these have, in fact, happened. In fact, Tom Brady gets as much plastic surgery as any Kardashian sister there is, even Kim. And I think we all know we have spent the last decade debating whether the younger Kardashians are good examples for little girls because they got plastic surgery so young when they didn't even realize it in the first place. Perhaps we should be talking about how bad an influence Tom Brady is on little boys, since he has spent it's not good enough that you're the MVP of the National Football League. It's not good enough that you've made a couple $100 million. It's not good enough that you won 7 Super Bowls. You had to go get plastic surgery too. What kind of example is that sending to our youth, Lubie?
Okay, so that's
for the youth, Lubie. For the kids. That's what the big board is. Much like Wu-Tang is for the children, the big board is for the children. Stop being a bad example to the children.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so that's 5 and 4. I'm almost scared of what 3 is.
It's going to take it. Number 3 is actually, you're going to be surprised how low number 3 is. But it's the other thing to remember about Tom Brady's career is that Tom Brady's the biggest cheater in the history of sports, Lubie.
Of course, yeah.
And you and I have discussed this. And I know you and Defo like to go to the Super Bowl and kiss the Patriots' ass and suck up to, who is it? The tight end from Colorado, Christian Fourier. Said like, we've never done anything wrong. No, they've been caught cheating more than any team in the history of professional sports. We're talking about 3 major cheating incidents during Tom Brady's year and several minor incidents, Lubie, including the last one, which somehow the NFL spread out so many lies and so much propaganda. They made everybody forget that 11 years after Spygate, they went and did the exact same goddamn thing, and everybody ignored it. So how much more do you have to cheat? That's all I'm saying. I don't need to drag this one out. You've heard me talk about it before. But the important feature of Tom Brady's career, whatever you think, is that he's the biggest cheater in history next to possibly his coach. I know Defo likes to talk about Margarito with the hands of stone. He only did that one time. 3 is more than 1. Last time I got. So let's take it to number 2, and this is entirely personal.
Okay.
But let's flash back, Lubie. I want you to flash back to Deflategate and the comment that Tom Brady destroys his phone and Giselle destroy their phone every 6 months for security reasons. The security reason was later revealed, Lubie, that there were a bunch of pictures of Ben Affleck and his nanny that he was cheating with on Tom Brady's phone, and he found the whole thing so is it that he destroyed his phone. And then what happened? Ben Affleck goes on Bill Simmons' show, clearly drunk about a month later, and cries about how the NFL is treating Tom Brady. Why? Because he's a BFF Fleck. And I don't care. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care how rich you are. There is nothing that Ben Affleck could do that would make me want to hang out with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck can hand out. He can hand out J-Lo's used panties. He can buy me a car. He can write me a 6-figure check. I'm not spending any time around Ben Affleck under any conditions. I think that reveals your character right there. This picture alone that you stood and posed with Ben Affleck, to me, is an indication of your character in and of itself.
All right, that's your bottom 4. What's number 1 on the professor?
And this is all right, because you're sitting there saying, Jesus, he's already talked about the cheating, and then he talked about Ben Affleck. What could be worse in Ken's mind than hanging out with Ben Affleck and Ben Affleck's nanny?
I don't know.
But there's something that doesn't get talked about with Tom Brady, even though it was put in public view, and for some reason, everybody has ignored it for like 4 years now. Maybe it's 5 or 6 years. I don't even remember how old we're talking here. And that is, I'm sorry, I don't want to be the drag down to everybody, but when you're thought of a normal evening at home,
of course,
is to lie naked on a massage table and make out with your 10-year-old son, that needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed. I don't know about your family, Lubie, and I know everybody's parents are a little different. the age when I stopped making out with my naked father doesn't exist.
It was 0.
There was no age where that is acceptable. And we're talking all this stuff in retirement. Everybody blamed Giselle. And you know me, I am very quick to blame Giselle. And I'm sure that hanging out with Giselle got very unpleasant very quickly. But I also suspect that half the problem is Tom Brady's son is now too old to do naked makeout with. I don't know if it's because the kid is like, Dad, this isn't really cool anymore. If we're going to make out, you need to put some clothes on. Or if now the kid got too old and it doesn't excite Tom Brady the way a naked makeout session with your son used to. And I'm sorry. I know people are going to say I'm taking this one too far, that I've gone a little too deep on this, but this needs to be talked about. Like, how did this not become a huge thing? How did everybody in America watch that stupid documentary and watch him lie naked on a massage table and make out with his kid, and it wasn't a talking point?
It's uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable right now looking at it.
And again, I don't know if families differ. I don't know what age you stop sticking your tongue in your father's mouth, but wasn't a thing in my family, and I don't think it's a thing in many families.
No.
And I think when you're naked and doing it, it takes it to an entirely new level. It's one thing to be French kissing your son. It's another thing to do it while you're naked. Sorry. While everybody else is praising and eating the propaganda, someone needs to point out this is part of what this man's career has been all about. Yeah. And especially now because he's returning home, because he's got things to accomplish. He didn't want to be at home. Yeah. Again, you don't want to be at home because your kid doesn't want to make out with you anymore.
Yeah, it was good you did this without Defo.
Again, yeah, I agree. Defo's level of propaganda is a little patriot heavy. But that
Thank you, Ken.
is the big board.
You're the
upon
man.
The GOAT's return.
You're 5 for 5.
Greatest of all time at making out with your kid.
I don't know what
Greatest
next
of all time at hanging out with Ben Affleck. Actually, now that I think about it, I've done this deal. Hanging out with Ben Affleck might actually be a little worse.
I'm almost scared for what next week will bring, but I'm excited. I'm full of emotion for next week's edition of the Big Board. That will be up again. Google the Defo Show DFO. Check out all of his big boards. Each and every Friday he's done one, and each week he takes it to another level. This week he not only hit out of the park, he tore open the envelope. So this was the big board. He is Ken Jacobson, the professor. Definitely check out the Foundry, and I'll recap his picks at the end of the show. Ken, you're the man. Thank you. If we aren't allowed to do a show again, it was a good run.
Everybody have a great tournament. I enjoyed yesterday. Hopefully we get similar results today. I know you didn't enjoy it, State of Kentucky, but you didn't deserve to enjoy it.
Yeah, fuck you, Kentucky. Congrats on your day yesterday. All the luck today, and we'll talk to you next Friday, Ken, man.
You have a great one, Lubes.
I'll be well, man. So that's the professor. And I warned you the best anyone could warn anyone. I said he likes to push the envelope. The funny thing is people will give him crap. That happened. Like Tom Brady actually did a documentary and put it in there. And it was very awkward and creepy. And I didn't realize it because I don't watch everything, but Ken follows every form of media. So I then looked it up. First of all, the whole world made fun of it. It wasn't just Ken. Like everyone pointed it out. And then when you actually watch it, it's weird. Like it's not like a baby. First of all, I never understand the kissing on the lips thing. I don't judge those when it's a baby, fine. But I don't know why that ever started. And my family never did that. We still don't. My sister has 4 kids. They were all little. And we never kiss on the lips. I don't understand. We're affectionate. Like men will kiss other men on the cheek. You know, we are affectionate. In ways not everyone is. But the lips thing, I don't. Why would that ever be a thing? Even with a baby. But whatever. Babies do it with parents. It happens. Okay, whatever, fine. But he wasn't a baby. Like he was like a 10 or a 12-year-old. Like you see the pictures, like a 10 or 12-year-old. And Tom Brady's laying there getting a massage. And he not only comes over, and it wasn't even like a pop kiss. Like that's why it became a big deal, because already at that age, you're not kissing your parents on the lips anyways. You're barely kissing your parents on the cheek, let alone your father. But he kissed him on the lips and he lingered. Like it was awkward and it was creepy and it was weird. So the professor didn't invent it. He didn't even exaggerated. Like if you ever go back and look at that clip, it's fucking weird. Brady's the one that actually put it in his. Brady was was involved with this documentary, and he chose to put it in there. So that's on him. It was fucking creepy, and it was a little weird. And of course, Professor had to make it a point to shine a light right on it. So thank you, Professor. That was the big board. We adore the big board each and every week. So thank you for checking it out. Look, he pushes the envelope. We openly admit it. We embrace it, and we cherish it. He never seems to go over to the place that's going to get us canceled. I don't think, at least. So we'll see. So far, we haven't been. Look at us. Coming up next, hopefully, we will have Mark Lawrence's. Of course. All right. Coming up, hopefully around 8:30, we will have Mark Lawrence and his best plays of the NCAA tournament, and he'll do a little NBA as well. So stay tuned to that. Do want to shout out to, again, Hialeah Park and Jimmy Johnson. First, Hialeah Park, we have a great time. I have a great time every time I go there. Defo's been there a lot more times than I have been. They do a great job with simulcasting. The Champions Poker Room is amazing. The staying spent goes every time by the slots. You actually, every day there's like a new big winner. So where most of these slots you have no shot, you actually have a really good chance of winning compared to any other place when it comes to slot play at Hialeah Park Casino. Plus, they take care of you when it comes to food and drinks. Usually you go to a place that's like an event kind of a thing, a destination, you're getting gouged for food and drinks. That's not the case. Like you can get a sandwich, really good price, nice sandwich. They do a really good job with it. The drinks, you're not getting hit over the head. And it's Miami, so it's even worse. They really take care of you there at Hialeah Park. So definitely check out Hialeah Park, hialeahpark.com. They always have a lot going on. So check them out. And coming up in about 10 minutes, 10 or so minutes, we will have Mark Lawrence and his plays of the day. Up next, you got a little bit more of me. This is the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie. Again, Google the Defo Show to check out everything we're doing, especially the Professor Big Board will be there. DEFO, the Defo Show on Google. And coming up next, more of me right here on the Defo Show.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Either way, if they can get the right guy to fall, like, could be a coup. So there's a few guys around that area that actually could be really good if they get the right guy, honestly.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the Defo Show right here on ION channel. No Defo, just me. We will have Mark Lawrence in about 10 minutes. You just saw the professor he gave. Okay, let me recap his plays. I should have done it at the end of his segment, but I was digesting everything he did. And he may be watching. He always comes back and watches and enjoy. I'll never talk crap about him. He pushes the envelope. We wince sometimes, but we always laugh. So you know what? Good for him. I love a guy that's willing to take it. In this world where everything's politically incorrect and you never know, give him credit. He's been able to really push it, and we still haven't gotten canceled. So, hey, look at that. The big board will be up after the show. Just Google the Defo Show, DFO. He gave out a slew of picks. He was hot. Yes, I screwed up because I had Blake on yesterday, and we had the trivia challenge. So I didn't want to do too much tournament, but I thought about having Ken on early, and he's not always Mr. Early Bird, so I didn't want to go too early. He came on at 7:40 today, so he would have come on early yesterday. That was my fault. He's great with the tournament. He was 7-0 yesterday. I was literally there watching as he made a ton of money. And I'm not saying you would have gone with all of his picks, but I feel bad that you didn't at least have a chance. So 7-0 undocumented. Today, these are his documented picks. A professor who is great with college football, college basketball, and he's unmatched when it comes to Aussie rules football. Again, you won't understand the game. Maybe you will. I couldn't. My dumbass couldn't. I tried to watch it for our segments with him on Aussie rules. I had no idea what was going on. Like I tried to research it. It made no sense to me. But just take what he says and then find someone that will take your money, because more than likely you'll be a winner. All right, so today's action for the NCAA tournament, the professor has USC. I know it's sad. We talked with Coach Larinaga this week. We talked to him this week on right here on Ion. And he was on. It's funny. He was honest about his concern with USC, who they take on today. I think it's just after 3:00. The length. USC, their starting point guards like 6'5". Their 2, 3, and 4 are 6'9" and up, and their center 6'11". And they're all athletic. And UM does not have a lot of size, and UM is not good at rebounding. And USC is astounding at rebounding. So Coach Larinaga was openly, he admitted it to us that he was concerned about the issues with rebounding. And Ken talked about that and the defensive edge it would give USC over Miami when it came to shooting. He's a UM fan. He's a Kane fan, but he's a degenerate. And when you're a gambler, you go with where the money is. USC laying 2. These are the lines I have. I don't know if you're going to get, if you're Segredo and you can get like USC getting points, because Segredo gets the most ridiculous lines ever. Or I don't know what you're getting, but this is what I'm putting him at. See if you can get these numbers. USC laying 2 over UM. VT, the darling of the ACC tournament, they came in as a 7th seed in the ACC and won the whole thing, beat Duke. So VT getting 2 over Texas. Texas, Beard, and it's funny, this is Brandon Lang had, I think, this pick too. Beard did a great job at Texas Tech. He'll do a really good job at Texas, but he doesn't have his guys there yet. VT getting 2 over Texas. Chattanooga, I think he and Brandon Lang were the same on both of these. Chattanooga, I have getting 8 over Illinois. Illinois did a great job in the Big Ten, did a great job in the Big Ten tournament. Chattanooga, professor's not predicting money line, but with 8 points as a spread in the tournament, with the way the fouls work at the end of the game, all that. Chattanooga getting 8 over Illinois. Seton Hall, St. Peter's is a Jersey squad. St. Peter's took out Kentucky. Seton Hall, the more well-known New Jersey school, is a pick'em over TCU. I've seen he saw pick'em anywhere to laying 2, laying 1 and a hook. Whatever you're getting in that span, I'm giving him the pick'em because that's what he got it at. I saw laying 1 and a hook. Seton Hall over TCU. And Aussie rules, again, I can't explain anything to you. I actually don't even know how the scoring works. But you can look up a spread, look at the names, and put money on a team. I would go with whatever the professor's doing because he knows his stuff. He actually he doesn't even have an idea of who's good and bad. He breaks it down. So good for him. Essendon getting 8 over Geelong. Port Adelaide, one of his favorites, getting 13 over Brisbane. And Great Western Sydney getting 4 over Sydney. Look at that. There's a Great Western Sydney and a Sydney. Who the hell knew? All right, so those are the professors play again. USC laying 2 over UM. VT getting 2 over Texas. Chattanooga getting 8 over Illinois. Seton Hall, Pick'em over TCU in the tournament today. Essendon getting 8 over Geelong. Port Adelaide getting 13 over Brisbane. And Great Western Sydney getting 4 over Sydney in Aussie rules football. Again, yesterday was a very fun day when it came to the tournament. I wrote down 5 major upsets. The biggest of them all was St. Peter's over Kentucky. That game was, you had bigger up. Well, that's the biggest upset. It was a 2 seed, but you had more widespread upsets where I think Iowa, the 5 seed losing, lost by more points. But I don't know if the game was as good. That game with Sydney, Kentucky was great. It went down to the wire, went to overtime, and then in overtime went to the final buzzer. St. Peter's knocks out the biggest upset so far, a team that a lot of people had winning it all, going down. Gonzaga actually struggled until the 9-minute mark in their matchup yesterday. They then went from being up 3 to up like 18 in a 2-minute span. They ended up, I don't know if they officially covered Gonzaga because the spread end was at 22 and a hook that I saw, but they won by 21. So Gonzaga, the team that most people have winning it all, is still alive. They gave people a fright. Still alive. Indiana, a team that Defo and I were sort of on, went down. They were the 12th seed, but they went down. But yeah, Iowa 5 seed was your 5 seed, at least one 5 seed that went down. I think 2 5 seeds went down yesterday. So a lot of action, 16 games yesterday. You have 16 games today, starting at 12:15. We'll have Mark Lawrence, championship winning handicapper, coming up in about 6 minutes. I think 8:32 to be exact. He'll give his championship winning plays of the tournament from today and the NBA for the weekend. And then just after 8:40, something like that, we'll have we already have the professor. We'll have Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, will join me, and he'll talk lots of tourney and lots of food. His thing is picking up matchups and picking the winner based on what city has the best food. Sounds ridiculous. Well, he did it yesterday on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. I got to sit in, filled in for Defo, who again is in Atlantic City. And you can hear that on 1470 WBNN. You can also check that out on the Odyssey app. Also, FM Money Talk Radio. You can check out his whole anthology. He did it yesterday, but for all 16 games. And I was tracking it. I know he got at least 3 or 4 wrong, but he didn't get them all wrong. He was definitely better than 50%. I think he was 10 of 16 is what I think he was. I'll have to check it again. But for just picking food, and he picked a 2 seed St. Peter's over a 15 Kentucky based on food, meaning, a 15 seed St. Peter's over 2 seed Kentucky, okay? So he stuck with it. Like, wherever he really thought had a better food vibe, even if they were the lower seed, he went with it. And he was right. Like, he got St. Peter's right based on the food. So I want more of that today here on the Defo Show. He'll join us around 8:40, and we'll have him talk about the tournament games today. I don't think he's going to give all 16. We'll let him do that on the Lunchbox. But, 2 to 4. I'd like a handful-ish games, hopefully, to get the food angle, what team will win based on food. So we'll do that. He is the Gambling Gourmet. I mean, got to tie in food and degeneracy. Hello. Speaking of degeneracy, yes, Defo is in Atlantic City. He made it there safely yesterday. I was hoping to have him with me this morning. I didn't even try. He said, "I'll be down, Lubie." Yeah, okay. You're going to gamble all day. The games go till 1 o'clock in the morning. He's not leaving before then. Like, he's going to be at the sports book, the race book, until they kick his ass out. His wife likes gambling too, so he doesn't even get the guilt that I would get. Like, Shirley doesn't give a shit, my wife, about sports at all. Like, it's not that she doesn't watch it, but no, she doesn't give a shit. Like, she doesn't care at all. She pays no attention to it. And she actually mocks me. I make a living on it, and mocks me for watching sports, let alone caring about sports. Like, the staying, at least when it comes to gambling, is into it. But that's the thing. She's into it. So if she's going to be there all day, he's going to be there all day. There's no way he left before 1 a.m. So to think he's going to be up to come on with me at 7:20, nah, there's no way. I love him. I appreciate that he offered it. I did not expect it. So no Defo today. Maybe Monday. But for sure, he'll be back with me Tuesday. Talked about the games. Talked about NFL free agency a little bit. Davante Adams, I guess it's not a free agency move because he's still under contract with the Packers, but he wanted an extension. Aaron Rodgers got his. Davante Adams was supposed to get his. The Packers said we would pay him. He wanted out. I guess he told Rodgers even before Rodgers signed his deal. So Rodgers is still happy staying. Davante Adams wanted a new scenery, and he picked what's going to be the most competitive division, we think, in all of the NFL, at least looking at it now. Las Vegas Raiders. I guess Davante Adams just bought a home there or something. He played with Carr. He went to Fresno State. Derek Carr there, stud quarterback. So you've seen the Chargers make moves. You've seen the Broncos make moves. The Chiefs were already loaded, so most didn't think they had to make moves. Now the Raiders, the second team that actually made the playoffs out of the AFC West, making moves. They signed Chandler Jones Wednesday, I think. They signed Chandler Jones, one of the best pass rushers in the game, from the Cardinals Wednesday. And then offensively, they go and get Davante Adams, widely considered the best receiver in the game, to pair with Derek Carr. They've had a good offense, but they needed a showstopper, a superstar, and Davante Adams is that. That was a big move yesterday. Earlier in the show, you might have missed it, bitched about my Dolphins. And I say my Dolphins, I'm a born and raised South Floridian. I'm a born and raised Dolphin fan. I, to this day, watch them, I don't get as frustrated because they've been for 20 plus years. So it's hard to still get super frustrated. But this offseason and the last off seasons have frustrated me because I don't like Chris Greer. I don't think he's done a good job. And the moves they've made so far have been good moves, and they don't have the fingerprints of Chris Greer. They have the fingerprints of Mike McDaniel. They're guys that fit Mike McDaniel's system, and they're San Francisco guys that Mike McDaniel coached. So finally, it seems time for Chris Greer go get a tackle, big money tackle, and he's not doing it. And he came out yesterday saying that the Dolphins have the talent, they just need the coaching. Yeah, that's what you need to do as a GM. Put the blame on someone else. Good job. So I talked about that earlier. If you want to check that out, Google the Defo show to hear my rant about the Dolphins. But more importantly, you don't want me. You want this man. So coming up next, we're going to talk with the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, championship winning handicapper, Mark Lawrence will join me right here on the Defo show. No Defo, just Lubie. We'll get him in and out. He's great at just getting you the plays because you don't give a shit about what I have to say, really. He's the one you want. Mark Lawrence, championship winning handicapper, will join all of us next right here on the Defo show with Lubie. No Defo next.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Mark Lawrence, burial last night with the hook, the dagger right there in the small of my back. That hook did me in again. I should know better. What would happen to you? We've asked you this before. If you actually were giving points in a ball game, would you be able to live with yourself or look yourself in the mirror the next day?
I would probably be ordering my last meal at the same time.
There is nothing better than Defo. It's now time for the Defo show.
And that is why we love this man. He's not only degenerate through and through, but he's a smart degenerate. He only goes dogs. Like literally, we're chalk eating pigs more than we'd like to admit. The only time he may have done a favor was like this year when he picked them the beginning of the year and they were not a favorite in the Rams. Got like 15-1 to get the Rams to win it all. So he literally won the Super Bowl on the game and the futures bet. The one and only, the legend that is Mark Lawrence joins me this morning. Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing just super, Lubie here, and hope you had a great St. Patrick's Day. I know there were a lot of college basketball teams that played yesterday, a couple of them anyway, that were Saints that pulled some monumental upsets.
Okay, so I know we're playing it late, but we didn't have a chance to get you on yesterday. What did you like or were most disappointed about yesterday? Did any of your big bets go burst, or what were you looking at most going into yesterday? Now we look back at yesterday.
Well, we had Richmond yesterday, which was nice. It was one of those real big upsets, and but we unfortunately also had South Dakota State, who absolutely no-showed. This team was second in the country in scoring to Gonzaga, 88 points a game, and they scored 30 less points than what they averaged. It was really disappointing. Overall, favorites went 7-6 yesterday. I'm going to look for the dogs to bark here today. We got a couple of money line plays again. I think a person can follow. If you're looking to cash a lottery ticket like yesterday, St. Peter's plus 1,600 on a money line. Today, I'm looking for that lottery ticket. I'm going to look at Delaware plus 950 or 1,000 against Villanova. in a possible upset.
Okay, so that's one of your plays. You got Delaware
On
over
a money
Villanova.
line. On a money
Money
line.
line. Oh, that's a money line. Okay. So that's your big play. Delaware winning outright over the 2-seeded Villanova, a team that a lot of people like a lot. Okay, so that's your first big money play. What else is there anything else you want to do, either college basketball or NBA?
Yeah, well, let me preface it real quickly here. We're going to play Delaware in the game as a play plus the points, but we're also going to back up half that play with Delaware on a money line. So, we'll look to hit that Los Angeles Rams 1-2 trifecta in this Delaware basketball game.
Okay.
Another basketball game today. Take a look at Ohio State, the Buckeyes. Their picker +1 against Loyola. Nice situation there where the Buckeyes lost their last 2 games of the season as favorites. Very disappointing. Now they come back here and they're ready to take it out on somebody. I think they'll take it out on Sister Jean and the Loyola Ramblers today.
Okay, so you got OSU over Loyola. I see here laying 1 in the hook. I'll give you 2. I'll give you 1. So OSU laying 1. No, Loyola.
Well, actually, as we speak right now, Defo, Lubie, it's pick. And
Okay.
it's pick 'em. That's what it is.
I'm about to say, I'm like, are we going with a favorite here, Mark? What's going on? You're throwing me off.
We're playing up to pick.
Okay, so get it to a pick 'em, and then you go Ohio State or Loyola Chicago. Any other tournament team? Any other games you may not say?
The only thing I might look at on the pro side of the ledger today might be the Chicago Bulls. They're getting 6 at Phoenix in what I call a perfect set, where the Bulls have revenge. They're off a loss. Phoenix is off a big win. That's a live dog for the Chicago Bulls, taking 6 from Phoenix. So mark it down. Bulls in the NBA, Delaware, Ohio State college basketball, with that little lottery ticket backing up Delaware for that possible money line upset.
All righty. We know we're going to get you in and out. You're a busy man. You do your whole thing, playbooksports.com. Anything else you want people to notice about what you got going on with playbooksports.com?
Well, I just sent you a copy of the Playbook March Madness Tournament Guide. When you get off and done with the show, you'll be reading that the rest of the day, okay? People can pick up a copy of that same guide online at playbooksports.com. Get it just in time for the games this weekend.
Mark, you are the best. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for jumping on with us again. Delaware I have 16. We're just going to give him that hook. Getting 16 over Villanova. Also, that's a money line play. And Mark Lawrence doesn't always just flail around money line plays. So I would take that seriously. With Delaware, the 15 over the 2. Ohio State, he has it at a pick 'em over Loyola Chicago in the round of 64 today, Friday. And in the NBA over the weekend, Chicago Bulls upset special over the Phoenix Suns. Mark, thank you so much. Enjoy the tournament. And we'll talk to you next Friday, my friend.
Hey, Defo, let's hope the ball bounces our way. Be well, stay safe. I'll catch you next week.
Thanks, Lawrence, man. So that is the one and only Mark Lawrence. Coming up next, the one, the only, he's chatting it up with the Andy man, the Gambling Gourmet. He was 10-6. Look, the food angle is sort of a silly one, right? Well, no, not when you're going 10-6. 10-6 is a really good record when you had all those upsets yesterday. He picked the biggest one of the day, St. Peter's over Kentucky, 15 over 2. Mark Lawrence is picking a 15 over 2 for today. Mayo yesterday had St. Peter's over Kentucky on his Mike Mayo's lunchbox. So I won't steal all of his shine. I'm sure he'll do a little bit more of that today when I join him on WWNN and Odyssey app. But I do expect some picks via the food angle. Coming up next with Mike Mayo's Gambling Gourmet segment right here on the Defo Show. Lubie, no Defo. Coming up next, Mike Mayo will join me. If you want to check out everything we're doing, Google the Defo Show, DEFO. We also do an exclusive content podcast, Believe.com, Believe Network. Search After Hours. We talked with Brandon Lang yesterday, and he talked about the tournament at large. So check out that. Also, Charles Davis joined us, CBS Sports NFL second team analyst with Ian Eagle, our dear friend. Charles Davis talked a lot about NFL free agency and what he looks at for the NFL coming up, the season in 2022. So check. And also we do South Florida content on Ethan Skolnick's 5 Reasons Sports Network. So check us out there. Plus, of course, every single day, 7 to 9 live and archived. Google the Defo Show, DFO. Coming up next, like I just said, one and only Mike Mayo joins us right here on ION Channel.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
We have the Gambling Gourmet with us, Mike Mayo.
Well, yeah, and you know me, when it comes to like pro football, I usually like to sometimes handicap games on which is the better food city. Where would I rather eat in? My mom, God bless her, 88 years old, and she follows some football, and we do a family pool where we make picks, and usually her is based on which city she would rather visit or live in.
Okay.
But college football, for me, it used to be, I always thought that the quality of the football team was in inverse proportion to the amount of teeth in the crowd. So,
grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the Defo Show here with Lubie. This man joins us each and every Friday. The Gambling Gourmet himself. You can also check out his show from 12 to 1, Monday through Friday, 1470 WWNN, and also the Odyssey app, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Good morning, Mr. Skyline Chili. How you doing?
I'm okay. Good morning, Lubie. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. You sound good, my friend.
I don't know what I'm doing with my lighting. No, here's the thing. I was going to be taking the week off and slacking in terms of trying to one-up the professor. But when I saw his just outrageous, defamatory, and altogether off base, just shellacking of Tom Brady, I had to come up with a corrective because, I know we're going to get into the NCAA and my weird day yesterday that, with the picks based on the food handicapping, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I just have to do, Lubie, the reasons I've got it's not a big board, but the reasons that we love Tom Brady.
I hate Tom Brady, but the reason you and the Boston people love Tom Brady.
I think even our friend septuagenarian Defo Deforrest likes Tom Brady because he respects a man that is able to still get it done at a large age. All right, so here we go real quick.
Okay.
Number 5 reason we love him. He's 44.
Yes, of course.
Did you know that? Did you know that he's 44?
Sure.
Number 2, he's going to be 45.
Exactly.
And do you see how well he's aging? Oh, wait, that's George Blanda. How old was George Blanda when he kept going? Did he make it to 50? Or
I think he played to 50, yeah. He wasn't starting.
So we'll see what Brady does. All right. You don't like this at all. All right. That's it. Number 3. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. So there he is with Belichick. And who do you hate more? I guess, because the Patriots are still in the Dolphins division. Come on, Lubie. You got to admit that anybody who is able to show up and, get spurned and rejected and chewed up and spit out after all he's done for Belichick. And he comes back and just, shows the whole league what he can do. So that's number 3. Number 2, he stoops Gisele Bündchen.
Yeah, that was a win.
That's a win. I mean,
that's a win.
You gotta
piece of work, but that's a win.
And you notice the ... He stoops Gisele Bündchen with deflated balls.
All right, that was nice.
So take that, Professor. I just couldn't let that stand, and that's where you see my deadline journalism instincts kick in. I saw what he did, and immediately just kind of went right.
I love the Professor. I love you, but screw Tom Brady. All righty. So you actually do this. You started with us. I'm laying claim to this. You started, or you might have done it in your life, but at least from what I know, picking games based on, okay, what city would you rather eat the food at? Do you like the food more? Has the better food? Whatever you want to call it. Your food angle, picking games. And you did pretty good, actually, on the former Defo show on radio. Yesterday, you hit it out of the park. You not only were 10-6, but you picked the upset of the day. And we sort of joked, Jersey has better food, St. Peter's is Jersey. So, of course, you have to go St. Peter's over Kentucky. But you even said it. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to go with the spread. And it'd be cool if they won, but who's thinking they're going to win? Well, you proved yourself right, as they not only won, that was the game of the day. I mean, that game went back and forth the entire time. St. Peter's never backed down, went to overtime. So you're like, okay, they'll probably lose in overtime, but the spread's ridiculous. So at least we'll cover. No, they went to the end and won the freaking game. So you have to keep doing it. I mean, you're 10-6 and pick the upset of the day. We won't take all the games away from you, but you got to do a few.
No. And I just want to kind of recap, because again, this is on the Lunchbox radio show that Defo and I do every day between 12 and 1 on that WWNN 1470 FMMoneyTalkRadio.com for the streaming or download anytime. And Lubie is kind enough to fill in these last 3 days, or actually today, yesterday, and Monday, while Defo is just plunging his guts out in AC. And so I did the all 16 games yesterday. And, I got to thank you, Lubie, because you kind of spurred me. I didn't realize where St. Peter's was. Actually, I thought it was maybe the pearly gates of heaven. I usually think that's where St. Peter's is. But he's actually in Jersey City, New Jersey, which is again right next to Frank Sinatra's birthplace of Hoboken. And Jersey City and Hoboken have a lot of great food, a lot of good Italian restaurants. And once I heard Jersey City, and you said, yeah, Jersey, good food. And we went with it. The exact quote was, and hopefully we could maybe cut up and pull the tape for the radio broadcast or for future, just because, this just goes to show, like, you get all these experts and, breaking down the games, and, it's like reading a racing form. All you're going to do is come up with logic when you look at a racing form. But when you go with this complete crazy angle, you could just show up the experts. And the quote was, what the heck? Let's go with Jersey. Hopefully Tony Soprano can pull an upset. We're going to throw a Hail Mary with St. Peter's. And sure enough, depending on what money line you had, but it was plus 1,600 on the one that my mind bet came when I was looking at it. But I actually tallied up. So I went 10-6 yesterday. And, some of them are like absolute prohibitive favorites, number one seeds like Gonzaga and Kansas. And you make $102 off a $100 bet. It's not much of in the way. But if you tally up, if you bet $100 on the money line on all 16 of my picks, you would have shelled out $1,600, but you would have collected, thanks to St. Peter's and also Richmond spraying a nice upset at, I think, plus 400 on the money line. So I netted yesterday $3,147 on a $1,600 worth of wagers. Nice. So that's almost doubling your money with the food angle. So with all due respect to the professor and Mark Lawrence, who are brilliant professional handicappers, just go with your gut, in which case the food angle is going with your gut. So there you go. And then,
so I know we're gonna do it again today on your lunchbox. So again, we're not gonna take all of your games, but
and I'm looking at things. Yale. I'm looking at this Yale Purdue game. I guess it's today, and Yale is in New Haven. I went with Connecticut yesterday because I'm thinking it's close enough to New Haven and New Haven pizza. But let's face it, Storrs is a garbage town with garbage food, and I kind of went up in flames. I should have stuck with New Mexico State and kind of Southwestern Frito pie. I like Frito pie if anybody's ever been there. So I blew that one, and I guess the other big game that I guess I'm kicking myself now was not Vermont, Arkansas. They acquitted themselves well, and I think they covered because I went with cheese over roadkill yesterday. But it was Michigan against Colorado State, and when I think back on it, because I was saying, oh, Colorado has some good, interesting food. Yeah. I was talking about Rocky Mountain oysters. I was like, wait a second, why would I choose bull balls, bull testicles over Michigan also has some, nothing, it has conies, the same thing that you get at Skyline Chili. They have these chili dogs called conies that a lot of Michigan. In hindsight, what the heck was I thinking? I should have gone with Michigan.
Isn't Detroit pizza like a big deal?
Yeah, I should have gone with Detroit pizza and Ann Arbor, which is where Michigan is. I blew that one. I should have, when I look back on it, I really could have gone, 12-4 yesterday. But anyway, I'll settle for all the big money line scores. And today, so again, only going to do a couple of plays here based on it. And Yale, which is actually the home of New Haven Pizza, it's in New Haven. And the Yale campus is right down the block from some of the most famous pizza places in the country, including Frank Pepe's and Sally's and Modern, which is my choice. No, Modern never gets enough play. Modern was kind of it was opened up in the 40s by a former employee of, I think, from Sally's. And it doesn't use pure coal oven fired pizza. I'm going deep into the food now.
Yes, you are.
The first two use pure coal fired ovens, and then by the time Modern came around, I don't think they had to do a blended oven. They have a little bit of oil, but anyway, Modern Pizza right up the block from Yale. And Purdue is Indiana Boilermakers. I mean, I don't know what a Boilermaker is. What are you drinking? You like doing a shot in a beer. Yeah, that's a shot in a beer. And Indiana not known for food. So I'm going to go today's big upset of the day is I'm going to take Yale. I don't know what I'm looking at a money line that says plus 800. I think that's low. It should be
16 and a hook. I'm seeing
so 16 a hook. Yeah. So money line, it's going to be something big. So I'm going to take Yale plus the 16 and a hook and also do a little bit on the money line. That will be my food play for the day because we love New Haven pizza and we hate anything that comes out of Indiana food wise. So, what else am I looking at today? Oh, this is a toughie. I'm going to have to tick off the baby mama, Michelle. She comes from the Columbus, Ohio area. And my goddaughter actually goes to Ohio State, is a Buckeye. And even though the Buckeye State is the home of Skyline Chili, which I love, Loyola of Chicago is one of the best food towns. Chicago has multiple styles of pizzas between the deep dish pizza, the thin crust pizza, tavern style. They also have Chicago dogs. They have hot beef sandwiches, and they have some of the best fine dining in the country. That molecular gastronomy at Alinea. Chicago is a total rout when it comes to food. So that's my other play of the day, Loyola of Chicago, both on the money line and the point spread against the Buckeyes of Ohio State. That'll do it. 2 plays of the day. We're going to go with the brains of Yale and the good food of Chicago, along with how do you beat a 100-year-old nun or however old she is? What's her name? Sister Mary Catherine?
Sister Jean, Defoe's favorite.
Sister Jean, yeah.
Where's working at casinos growing up? Yes.
That's it. We're going to leave it at that and roll the dice on those 2, and we'll see where it takes us, Lubie.
All right, so this is the Defo show. No Defo, just Lubie. Defo, the degenerate that he is, of course, is in Atlantic City to take in the first.
So I got updates from him, and I don't know.
I didn't get any gambling updates from him, so I'm actually curious.
He sent me a picture. He was raving about. He went to some dive Italian place in a seedy part of town. I think it's called Antonini's or something like that. But he sent me a picture of this meatball, and it looked like a chicken franchise. And he was like saying it's a great meatball. It was $11. He was like in love with it. He loves the kind of divey scene food, but he goes, it was a very spicy meatball. Angeloni's too. It's in a shithole neighborhood off the boardwalk, he said. And I guess I could show you the picture if people see. Oh, here we go.
That's how he described it.
There's Defoe's dinner last night. He's got the
looks
meatball.
Like legit Italian. Looks like why you went with St. Peter's.
But again, I see this kind of stuff all the time in South Florida. I mean, I have a place near me called Concadoro that does Italian just like this, and Dominic does a great job. So there's a lot of very good Italian neighborhood joints, red sauce joints all over South Florida. So you don't have to go to Atlantic City and plunge your guts out to get food like that. But apparently Defo does. Now, Defo sent me 2 other pictures trying to maintain that he's been lucky again. He sent me the same picture that he sent from Vegas, claiming that he hit the that royal flush, and then he
Oh, you're
sent me
saying
that
he's
picture
using the picture?
again. And I think now, I think that's it's just kind of some kind of cover story, and the lies that gamblers tell to others and themselves, if that's what makes them feel better. I mean, it was the same. It was a little bit different angle, and I can't find that picture now. But then he
Okay.
sent me another. He says that that Mustang Sally, hit for 11 dimes on a machine last night.
Really?
I have no idea if this is true or not. Again, he
He doesn't lie about the Sting. I usually get, that's what I was telling the professor earlier. I usually get a text from him, fuck the Sting, or not fuck the Sting. Well, that's enough. The fucking Sting. Like I don't get, the only updates I get from him are like when the Sting goes off the rails at the slots, and I didn't get anything from him. So I was like, maybe she did something interesting. Like, that's fucking cool. Like, good for him.
I don't know. He sends me a picture of a 25
lie,
cent machine that only has 44,000 credits on it. That's not 11 dimes. In my calculation, that's about 11 sticks. Now, maybe his septuagenarian mind is slipping a little, and he meant to say 11 sticks instead of 11 dimes. We know $1,100 is not $11,000, but it's
If he
still a
won
nice
11
score.
grand, he would have been very clear about 11 fucking grand. Like,
He says dimes, but I think he meant sticks,
I think
because
he
it
meant
looks like this screenshot equates to about $1,100.
Yeah,
So,
he probably 11 sticks, which is
yeah,
still
so
to win first day.
Oh yeah. No, it pays for a lot of meatballs, that's for sure. So.
Exactly. All right, so this is the Gambling Gourmet with me, Lubie, on the Defo show. Now, before we get out of here, again, you can check both of us out in about 3 hours, 12 to 1 Eastern time on 1470 WWNN, also the Odyssey app. You always eat interesting all week long and over the weekend. So we always like getting your food tips of the week/weekend. What have you done so far, or are you looking to get into this weekend, Mr. Gambling Gourmet?
No, I'm gonna give a couple of tips, and we're gonna get into this also on the Lunchbox show today.
Yes.
But today is Friday, and a lot of people do follow Lent. Those of the Christian Catholic faith, to give up their meat on Fridays and eat fish and seafood on Fridays. And you'll find a lot of good places that have their fish specials, clam chowders, and the like. A couple of my places, I love the Southport Raw Bar, and the place across the street from it in Fort Lauderdale, Kelly's Landing. They always have good fish. But as far as maybe some fine dining, I hit a couple of places in the last few weeks. One of them up in Boca Raton called Corvina. It's on the east side of Boca. It's near Defo's hangout, the Funky Biscuit, but in the shopping plaza just above it, just off of Palmetto Park Road. It's called Corvina. It opened up, I think, in December by a group that's also out of the Washington, D.C. area. And they're doing a lot of good seafood dishes there at Corvina, including its namesake, Corvina, which we also find at our friend Joey Esposito's Cafe Seville. That's another great place to go in for all kinds of great fresh fish. Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale, but Corvina in Boca Raton, I had all kinds of good raw bar items, and they also had lobsters. They had a scallop dish that was very interesting that also had like capers and raisins on it. I'm not usually a big fruit with my seafood fan, but it was really well executed dish. And so Corvina is one of my picks. And then this week I also checked out a new place, relatively new place up in Delray Beach called Mayo Beach House.
Okay.
Meso, I don't know if it stands for Mesopotamia because it has some Middle Eastern influence, but it was kind of a hodgepodge place. A chef, very talented chef from New York named Sean, who came in there, and it's the old spot of, I don't know if you know, where it used to be a restaurant called Shea, Che, like Shea.
I heard about it. Yeah.
And that closed down, but it's a really nice waterfront intracoastal setting. And the menu is ambitious, and it has some really good seafood dishes, including like a whole roasted branzino with the bones in that was cooked absolutely perfectly. They have like a grouper dish that was like in a clam chowder base. It has like some clams and a creamy base with some potatoes. That grouper kind of chowder dish was excellent.
Nice.
So Meso Beach House in Delray Beach, I say, is a winner. A little bit pricey. I had a spaghetti with sea urchin dish, uni, as a Japanese, but that's one of a kind of a Japanese dish that he also kind of tweaked it a little and made it a little bit more worldly. It was bizarre, but it tasted delicious because it was like spaghetti with this glob of the sea urchin, which is a very strong flavor. Some people don't like it. Some people think it tastes like let's say a rotten rancid shoe, but I like it. I think it tastes really funky and like the sea. But if you toss up the sea urchin with the spaghetti, and he did it in a very strange way because he also had some grated pecorino cheese, and then they sent it under the broiler. And I've never seen broiled uni with cheese before. It, like in Japan, they would throw you out of the country, I think. But there, it, I'm one of those guys. I'll try anything, and if it tastes good, I'll give it the thumbs up. It tasted good. It was definitely an unorthodox, but good tasting dish. So again, Mayo Beach House in Delray Beach, Corvina in Boca Raton, and of course our friend Joey Esposito and Sally at Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale on Oakland Park Boulevard. And boy, their big board, they have a big board. I tell you what, Professor talks about his big board, and we love the Foundry too, and they have some good seafood dishes
they do a great
also. But the Cafe Seville, they have their deli specials board that features all their fresh fish, and they always have locally caught like grouper, snapper from the Keys, swordfish from right off the coast here, and they do that swordfish really simple. So I love Joey. I love Cafe Seville. If you're into the fish on Fridays, that's another great place to check it out.
So hopefully everyone has a good. So it's not Good Friday. What is it?
Well, every Friday until Lent, they just kind of
Lent.
Yeah, it's just a Lent period, which is 40 days from Ash Wednesday until Easter Sunday, and Good Friday is the Friday before. And Catholics and Christians always say they're going to give up something that's meaningful to them during the 40 days of Lent. And on Fridays, you're not allowed to eat any flesh of meat. You can eat fish and seafood. So
have an easy Lent. I don't know.
That's it. We're Jews. What do we know? But that's it.
Have a good Lent. Enjoy your fish. Enjoy Mike Mayo's lunchbox at 12 o'clock on 1470 WNN Odyssey app.
Come on out to a Cut Above Butcher Shop, 1541 Cordova Road. I'll be broadcasting there. Lubie will be manning the fort in his bunker. But I broadcast every Friday from a Cut Above Butcher Shop. And they have that great burger lunch special, burger and fries, and like a really good quality half-pound Wagyu blend burger that's tasty as all get out. And good thing I'm not Catholic and follow Lent, because I'm going to be devouring one of those burgers today for lunch. And $9.75 along with a whole bunch of other things on their lunch menu. A Cut Above Butcher Shop, we love them too.
All right, Mayo man, thank you so much. I'll talk to you in a few hours, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Go Yale, go Eli, or whatever they call themselves. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Yaley. That is the renowned Mike Mayo. I am Lubie. Enjoy the tournament, and hopefully free agency will be even better because the Dolphins are going to get a freaking tackle. Again, that was my earlier lament in this morning. Check me out again. I'll be with Mike Mayo on the Lunchbox. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, 1470 WWNN, also on the Odyssey app. And I'll be back Monday. No Defo, me. Encapsulate your entire tourney weekend. Talk some NBA or NFL free agency, maybe baseball free agency, because that's been a big thing. Freddie Freeman is now a Dodger. Talk about all of your world of sports coming to you Monday. Defo Show with Lubie, right here on Ion Channel. Again, Google the Defo Show. Check out everything we're doing. Also later today, every day we have podcasts on the Believe networks. Just Believe.com. Search After Hours. And our South Florida content, go right to 5 Reasons Sports. Their YouTube page, we have our own playlist, The Defo Show. The YouTube page for 5 Reasons Sports for the absent Defo. Thank you, the professor. Thank you, Mayo Man. Thank you, Mark Lawrence. I am Mike Lubitz. We'll check you out Monday with more of The Defo Show right here on Ion Channel.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.